Facebook on a recent update basically got rid of the manual sales campaign and it's all now turning into an advantage plus campaign. But yeah, let's actually dive into exactly how it tests the creatives, how it structure the campaign inside this tutorial. And this is how I'm slightly tweaking things from a kind of setup perspective to and how I actually approach the account structure itself. Because obviously it used to be that I had multiple advantage plus shopping campaign, which was the previous term that Facebook used basically for this specific type of campaign. And now obviously it is a bit different. So I'm gonna go through how I set up my campaign. Again, this is how I like to set up my campaigns for like running multiple seven figures in a monthly ad spend and across different verticals. So I hope that's gonna be helpful for you. Take some notes. I highly recommend testing some of the stuff you're gonna learn here yourself and see if it actually works out. So I'm inside an ad account here. I'm gonna go through the whole process here on how to set up a campaign right now. And I'm gonna click on create campaigns and then click sales and then continue. And then we're gonna be encountering with this pop-up here, which you no longer need to choose a campaign setup. Now called Advanced Plus Sales Campaign, formerly called Advanced Plus Shopping Campaign. This setup is on by default. And there's still some manual options still available and I like to leverage. So let's see how I use this. Again, these could be two different things and how I like to structure my campaigns. It really changes between account per account, but some accounts actually, the manual setup actually worked very well, and then you used the advanced plus shopping setup and actually did well as well. So again, this is how I like to do this now. What has evolved is now into one really core campaign, without having like an AAC plus campaign and an manual sales campaign. So it's really just consolidated things further. And due to the recent update that Meta actually made, I have a video here that I did, is actually evolving to more consolidated approach. We're using more ads because obviously Meta has a lot more signals, it seems. So let's actually dive into it. Again, I'm gonna click OK and go straight into it. Again, you can use your campaign name. I'm not bore you with stuff, name. It's very important to actually stress to have a proper name convention. So I'm actually changing my mind. I'm going to put a proper name convention here. Use your top of funnel. For example, you use something like this. Obviously, it's not a single campaign, but let's say this is actually a testing campaign. So we're going to do a test campaign, or rather, creative testing campaign. And I'm going to use, if I have multiple products, I'm going to use the name of the product. I have to use here obviously the date. Let me see what's the date, and just have here this one, and then just have pretty proper name conventions so you can extract data that you need from the campaigns, the ad sets. It sounds so simple, but I've already so many accounts that just not even like remotely close. I need to just spend like an hour just trying to get my head around what's really happening. So point being, really for sales, don't use anything here. Catalog ads, I'd rather use them off. If you have like a 1,000 SKU store or like multiple hundreds of SKUs, definitely test catalog ads. They use like a charm. They work like a charm. I had a client that most of the campaigns was actually like a catalog ad, and they basically have like 3,000 or 4,000 SKUs. So and then in terms of like budget. Now, it's really important here. If we're using it, like you can use both really from a testing perspective. So this is specific campaign for creative testing. So we're actually testing new creative to find winners. Like I've seen results with both. I'm not gonna be here arguing about CBO or ABO because this is basically what it is. I like to use ABO just for the simple reason that I can control the budget. Because Meta, we can lean to the system as much as we can, because obviously it knows much more than us. I'm not gonna bring that argument, but at the same time, I think it's very important that we have some control over the budget, where the budget distribution goes. Because like sometimes it will probably favor engagement or ads that can actually get the most reach. Because obviously Meta doesn't really care about conversions. It really cares about getting the most reach out of your ads. And if your ads is actually pretty scalable, good, or they are like very engaging, good, but that doesn't mean always sales. Point being, I like to have some control over my ad sets, set a proper testing framework, have some statistical significance over my testing So point being, I like to use ABO testing. So basically puts all the budget into each ad set. So you can put the same budget of budget into 3 or 5 different tests of creatives. And I also can actually vertically scale very efficiently on the ads that actually work the best on those testing campaigns. So this is why I'm actually like to do ABO. But CBO actually works well too. Just really is not my kind of ideal way to kind of structure things. And then from other segment, that's very, very important. I have here some existing customers, but what you're gonna do is it's very simple. You can go here about your audience segment, not here actually. You're gonna go here, and we're basically gonna use our we're actually gonna be using some audiences for reporting purposes. It's super important, super useful, because then after you run your campaigns, you will see the background of like new customers and existing customers and how meta distribution is spent, so we can obviously make adjustments in our creative into the way that we approach the ad account and the setup and everything. So as you can see here, I have here like you can use an engaged audience. I like to use like website visitors. I'm not gonna create the audience now. Or let me see what is here. Website visitors. I'll probably do like last 30 days that we don't have here. But yeah, you can just use website 30 days, Instagram and Facebook engages. People have like engaged audiences. You can also upload like a Klaviyo list that are subscribers who have interacted but haven't actually purchased. Customers, I highly recommend having Klaviyo and pixel-based audiences, and that's pretty much it. If you refresh after you put them, you will see them here. And specific category we don't have, so we're gonna click next, and we're going to the ad set level. So ad set is very important. I like to use like obviously broad if that's the audience that we're targeting, which is gonna be like 90% of the time. And then I'm gonna do like obviously the UK, US if it's applicable, if it's not, whatever. And then the other thing that you need to do here is really just name. This specifically is for a testing campaign. So I want to see what the hell I'm actually testing and how I can actually phrase it here. So it might be like it might be like from a specific agency or like a specific creator. So let's say we have like specific creators. We have like Laura here, and this can be like all your ads from Laura. So you might have like 5-10 different variations from Laura, or you might have Laura might actually create like different angles as well. So we're gonna have like Laura angle sustainability or something like that. Sustainability. So of course I spelled that wrong, but in this case, but yeah, the main thing I want to have proper name conversion. I can see and I can extract more information out of my test, my ad sets in a very, very easy way. Very important here, you use website. You're gonna use website and SOP if you have SOP set up. I typically like to use this website even if I do have set up, and probably it's going to be another campaign that I'm going to be testing both. But yeah, that's one thing. Again, you're going to name it as you see fit. Now, what I'm trying to experiment more now with like recent updates and everything is I have at least like 5 to 10 ads under each ad set, probably towards the 8 to 10 mark. Because obviously, I think we need to give a bit more context to meta, and I think we'll do much better than actually isolating each creative variable. Now, I'm going to do maximum conversions. You can use maximum value of conversions. It doesn't really matter. It actually matters, but typically, when you want the most amount of volume of conversions, you don't really care about the actual value of them. You don't care about the basket size and everything. This works best. This works best if you do have, like, for example, like a lot of SKUs again, like you really just care to get the most value out of your first order and stuff. But if you have like specifically the landing page is linked to one product, I'll go with maximum conversions. Obviously you don't care about like maximizing basket value, you just have one product. So as I said, just gonna use the pixel, and you're gonna use like again the pixel here. Cost per result, always use purchase. I don't know what to put here. I actually like to use CPA goals if my efficiency is the main thing, not for testing. I like to just test on like lowest cost where I can get maximum data. But it's really depend on your own goals as a business. I like to use cost caps on like business that are really trying to find that efficiency, and are really trying to find efficiency as fast as possible for like maximum scale and everything. It's like I want to have a lowest cost. I can get the most amount of learnings, the most scalability, the most consistency. But again, you need to have fun, like proven winners in terms of creatives and everything. So up to you. I like to use a cost cap on some occasions, in some not. But typically, I would just start off like lowest cost just to get an idea. If it's like a very new brand, like you really struggle with efficiency, by all means, just start with a cost per result goal. I have seen very good results. Although a bit of a caveat here, if it's like a brand new account, brand new pixel, and you don't have any kind of data here, don't use it, because you need to just get in some conversion data first so Meta can actually properly optimize for that specific goal you put here. Now, very important attribution setting. I probably like to give again as much information and context to Meta as possible. Let's say now with the recent dates, I probably put like none to the view through and just put like engaged view. So that's actually we have like sometimes it's actually very, very engaging. People have actually engaged, because obviously the view through is like a bit of a hit or miss. People might have seen the ad, but doesn't mean actually very interested to the business. So as you can see, it's not really that incremental to the actual business. So click through 7 days, 1 day view. You can also experiment with just 7-day click if you really, really want to be very, very strict. But that's about it. It's very important here. Basically, how Meta will actually optimize people who click on an ad and convert. So as you can see, we want to optimize for data that's very meaningful. So as you can see, if we put this view conversion, not that it doesn't work, but it's not that incremental. Like people can actually see the ad but don't have any kind of context or any kind of idea about the product or be close to actually purchasing. As you can see, if we optimize for like view through conversions, that Meta really basically over attributes their like impact, is not ideal for like a revenue perspective. Again, there is a place to this, primarily when you're actually like really, really scaling and wanting to get like maximum data out there. But yeah, not for like initially just testing everything. Now budget, again, just make sure you put enough budget to make meaningful learnings. And here the audience, like that's very, very important here, because obviously you have a few different options here. You can use, obviously you can also use like your location and everything, inclusion and exclusion. If you have like a specific demo, I probably go like at least like a 25 plus or whatever that is, and just use your specific demo. Customer exclusion, super important, just exclude all your customers here. I'm just gonna put this one as an example, but again, all your customers, the wider the better, so you can obviously prospecting always. And languages, again, this for top of funnel and creative test campaigns, we're trying to find new audiences, new customers, I'm sorry. And then selecting the audience, I like to actually go more granular here, and again put the ages, put the agenda, and just try to narrow it down a bit. Not like to the, I want to give Meta as much room as possible, I want to be clear about this. But if my target demo is like women over like 30, I'm not gonna put like 18 plus, okay? That's the main thing here. The other demographics, believe it or not, I've still found like some interest tags works very well here, but it's not they're not the most scalable. There are maybe quite a bit of inefficient ones, but not the most scalable. So I'll probably leave it off as broad completely, but up for testing as well here. I'm not gonna be like any other guy that's just okay, broad is the way. You can use like further limit your reach of ads, which is again Meta just trying to push automation. But if you switch to that, basically gonna go into like the stuff that you already know, which is again nothing really changed with what we have put here. In our placements, I used to be a bit more strict and just not using all placements, but given again the recent updates, I'll probably like to have placements here on, or like advanced placement on, so everything. Yeah, that's much it. So on another level now, how I like to structure my test, I'm probably gonna have one angle, 3 different hooks, or like variations of the ad, like three to 5 different hooks, if it's like a video ad, or like again variations on that ad, and it is on the same angle, so probably have like 5-10 variations here. If I don't have, obviously, because you're gonna restructure the test however you see fit, however you have, depending on how much volume you have actually from a creative perspective. But the other thing that you can do is obviously have each angle, like for example, it is like sustainability angle. You have like multiple creators if you don't have like a lot of assets, but I will still try to limit like max 10, especially if you're working with like more like smaller budgets. So you can again give Meta as much info as possible, but you're not really just spreading your budget too thin. So I would go by creator. So have one creator do multiple angles. So it might be sustainability, it might be, I don't know, effectiveness, whatever that is. So maybe like 2 or 3 angles and have like 2 or 3 variations. So that roughly gives us like 10 ads, and it's just like that. I can also have like an angle and I have like multiple creators as well. The main thing is to really isolate what I'm actually testing. So if it is like, for example, a creator, I'm testing different creators because I probably can have multiple creators on like working angles. If I'm testing a specific video and different hooks, I'm gonna have like the video with the actual hook variations or like iterations under one ad set, and it's actually tested. So main thing here, isolate one creative variable, make the landings, and set your tests based on hypothesis, not just randomly test stuff. And if we scroll down here, we'll obviously put everything that we want. I'm not going to put all the information. The only thing that I want to mention here, because I used to just leave it off because I was very angry about this. Meta was actually really pushing like advanced plus placements, like just use them for now. It really depends on your brand. Obviously, if you're very conscious on like Meta delivering your ad to like in like weird cropped formats and music that doesn't really align to your brand, you really like struggling with actually doing that, I'll probably leave them off. I want to give Meta as much context as possible, so if I don't put them on, I'm gonna be just basically have everything like 9x16 versions, 4x5 versions, so we can obviously leverage everything like reels with music on, videos with subtitles on, and that's the ideal route. This is what I would probably do, but obviously most brands are really hard to actually get the creative output in a way that this is like more efficient, actually consistent. So I'll probably just leave them on for now. But yeah, there you have it. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed. But yeah, there you have it. Really, this is the creative testing setup. I'm not gonna go very in depth on the account structure today because obviously it's like a whole other video. But I'm gonna do like an updated version of it as I'm actually testing it at the moment. But this is very important. This is like how I basically do all my campaign setup, and this is pretty much the same from scaling. I only use like the top performance here, with a few exceptions here, and like a few different techniques as well. But this is the basic. This is a great test campaign. This is how I like to test my creatives, and then I put more into like a specific scaling campaign. That I typically have like one scaling campaign per offer or per angle after a point, as we scale a lot and want to like build a 10K day mark. But yeah, thanks a lot, and I hope you really enjoyed it.